What up, what up? Here we are with another episode of the Hooshwere podcast. I'm your host, Chase Minnifield, coming to you live. We're in D.C. today. What's good, Max?
Hey, what's going on, world? It's good to be here. First time in our new studio. So, excited to be here. Excited for what's to come this year.
Boy, just claimed the whole studio. But we got a special guest today, man. This is season 4, episode 1. We got a 2-time Who starting us off. On season 4 right here, Chudi Obi. What's up, Chudi?
I'm good, man. Thank you for that intro.
No doubt.
I got hyped about it. Thank you.
You're class of 2015 from undergrad and class of 2017 for your master's, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And you are double who? Where are you from?
Okay, so I always love giving my backstory, but I was born and raised here in D.C., Washington, D.C., but I'm originally from Nigeria.
Okay.
Like I said, born in D.C., grew up here. I'm currently living in Virginia. I moved there when I was 13, but I love everything about D.C. I love that I'm here.
Yeah.
Obviously went to UVA after 5 years in Nigeria as a high school student.
Oh, really? You went to Nigeria for high school?
Yeah, I went to Nigeria for high school. My parents wanted me to kind of, reconnect and all that, and that was a whole difficult journey.
They say you coming up the wrong way, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
hold on. Back to your roots.
I mean, it's not like I was mad or anything, but they just said that it was like, you got to go back home, and it got better every year, I want to say, but when it was done, I was happy. So I went and got to UVA, got to experience a lot of good things and some interesting things at UVA, Charlottesville. Grounds as well, met great people. Spending 6 years there, really connected to the whole experience in probably the traditional and unconventional sense. So I'd say I have a very good, well-rounded experience of that, and it definitely defined who I am right now. More or less, basically, yeah.
Why'd you choose to go to UVA in the first place? And how do you? I know you're from DC, but like, how do you get recruited from Nigeria? Or like, are your admissions teams in Nigeria? Are they looking for University of Virginia? Or are they trying to keep you over there in Africa?
So it's interesting. For starters, since I wasn't in the U.S., I never did the whole college.
Tours?
Everybody! I never did the college tours. I never knew about it. My parents were doing all of that.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad, and my mom said, "Oh, we went to UVA and we saw this great guy. He was sharp and everything like that. Dressed up in the suit. There was a black student too. He was like, "Oh yeah, man." He's like, "You need to come to UVA." At the time when I finished, funny enough, I mean, I was talked out of it, but I really wanted to, because I got into American U and I got into George Washington U, and I wanted to go back to school in D.C. Because I was like, I really want to go back to school in D.C. Well, then but I wasn't really pressed about it because I just wanted to go to college anyway, and my parents were like, we live in Virginia, in-state tuition, and you got like a grant and extra money, and it's UVA, and I didn't know anything about UVA being UVA. I was like, okay, whatever.
Decision made.
Yeah, it's like decision made. Let me just go to college. And then when I got to UVA, I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is different, and and all that type of stuff. Funny enough, even though they didn't recruit or do anything like that, I know that I took the SATs in Nigeria basically. So I took my SATs there, and they do a lot of stuff there. That SATs were coming to like PSATs and SATs and ACTs, they were actually coming to my school. I didn't know how big it was, but they were offering all of those types of resources and everything like that. And, I studied and I wrote the essays and I did everything like that. And, I ended up in UVA.
That's what's up, man. So once you got to UVA, was there any type of culture shock, or was it like, these are like the people that I was growing up with in the DC area?
Well, man, it was a culture shock in a way because I had been not unplugged. I hadn't only been unplugged from the DC culture, but I was unplugged really from American culture in general. Like I was here new. I thought I could adapt, but I'm like, man, I'm 5 years late. I don't know what's happening there, everything like that. But it was a culture shock because I'm like, okay, I've spent so much time from out of the U.S. I had to come back. I had to really find ways to fit in. And it wasn't really bad, but I knew I was like a fish out of water, basically. Especially with what UVA was, because, oh my gosh, all of this type of stuff is happening at UVA. Everybody's in like the bow ties and all this type of stuff. I'm like, wow, that's something I never ever thought about. And then, found out about Greek life, found out about tailgating, found out about homecoming and all this type of stuff. So that was a whole new thing to me. But eventually, I want to say after my first year, I got the hang of it. But but it was definitely a shock because I hadn't been in the country for so long, especially because I was going back and forth from Nigeria and here every summer from like 2006 to 9.
Yeah.
But from 2009 to 11, I didn't come back to the States. I was in Nigeria full time. I was living there pretty much. So when I came back, I was like, okay, so.
Did your do you still keep up with your friends from high school? And did any of them come to the States for college, or did a lot of them come to the States for college?
I still keep in touch with a lot of my high school friends, both here in DC because I did get the chance to like attend because I applied to various and I got into the school I wanted to come here was a school called Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and that was my dream school. And I'm still in touch with a couple of my teachers, even some teachers here in middle school, and a couple of my friends who went, and a couple of friends who went to high school here. But from Nigeria, funny enough, what's funny is that one of my friends from high school, he kind of left a little bit a year earlier than I did, and he ended up going to North Carolina A&T, but he was looking for business schools, and he called me up and said that, hey, I just got into Darden at UVA. Should I go? I said, you should go to Darden at UVA. So he just graduated this past May from Darden. He was there for 2 years, and I was chilling with him for like 2021 to 2023. I hadn't seen him in like 10 years when he got in, so that was the first time I saw him. Yeah. And his younger twin brother ended up going to Darden too, so he's there. So I hadn't seen him even longer. So, and then a couple of other people I know. One guy, he went to Radford as well, Radford University. A few others went to places like, try to think, like also UCLA, and some went to Loyola in Chicago. So, they're all around. But a good number of them. And, one friend of mine who I didn't think who was going to leave Nigeria, he ended up going to the University of Cincinnati. So that was great as well. So, all over.
So what made you choose? So you studied politics, right, at UVA for your undergrad. What made you choose that? And was it you came into school thinking like I'm going to go this route, or did you try to figure it out once you got there?
Yeah, so I had a plan. I had an idea of what I wanted to do when I came to UVA. It wasn't politics because I thought, that could be just a hobby thing. I like politics, but I thought about the econ. But then my dad was like, hey, the comm school is here. So I tried the comm school. Yeah. That was a learning experience. I didn't get in. I tried the econ department. I didn't get in. But the thing is that what's good about it is that the prerequisites that I needed for certain things, like I ended up taking 2 politics courses because I said, why not? And that kind of saved me major-wise because I was at a point where like, you don't have a major. Yeah. But I still could run on politics. So I did that, and I was lucky that throughout my time, like going through like econ and the comm school, a lot of the prerequisites with the politics department kind of intersected with that, and so I was able to do that. Got able to declare my major immediately my first semester, third year, so it was no big deal. And in its own way, it became a very interesting thing because I got to, while I had reservations about what I could do with it, professionally, I was able to do a lot of things on grounds because I got to talk with a lot of people. I got to be in a class with Larry Sabato, who I still keep in touch with. And, it allowed me to experience a lot of things practically in the sense that I could talk to people. I say that it probably improved my my networking skills, even though the whole idea of the comm school, that's another culture shock that I found out because networking, I have to talk to people to get a job. I'm like, not I didn't have to just, here's the paper and you apply. No, I had to talk, and that was and in and of itself, I'd say that my whole journey that landed me as a politics major, I would like to do things differently, but I appreciate the path I took because I tried different things and I ended up, connecting with different professors. And even though I didn't get into the comm school, my commercial law professor, I still talk to her quite a lot. Some members of the econ department still there, still talk to a lot of them. Of course, all of my politics teachers that I know that I try to keep in touch with, I still do. So it was a great journey.
That's what's up, man. So you graduate and you decide. So you're talking about your resume, right? Yeah. And you got a network to find a job. So was it the fact that you didn't have a job and time was running out and your rent was due, and he's like, all right, let me go back to school real quick? Or what made you decide to go get that double who major right there?
Yeah, so it's almost similar to that. So I thought that like, it was coming around my fourth year. I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to graduate. Things are real. And I was like, oh, I love this degree, but I don't think I can make money with this degree. I said, let me start applying to grad school immediately. And so, what's funny is that I went to the Baton School, which is where I got my degree in public policy. And I found out about, and the thing is that I was introduced to it which is leadership and public policy, like my first year, like my very first semester, OAAA, during like the parents orientation thing around, I think it was like before the first week of classes. My dad was there. And of course you had people from the comm school that were there. You had people from the East school that were there and the Baton School. And this guy was like saying, oh yeah, we want you to like, the Baton School's great, it's good. And they had just started their like undergrad program. But I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do with a degree in leadership? Like, I don't think you need a degree for that. Like, I had cut out the Baton School from my mind until third year because I was interested in, African politics, foreign policy, and all that type of stuff. So somebody said, oh, well, this professor who is named Professor Janine Braithwaite, like she's professional in Africa, worked in the World Bank, did a lot of stuff in, I believe in Botswana and Southern Africa and all that type of stuff. And she said, "Yeah, you should." She's having this talk, and I'm like, "Okay." And when I talked with her, I was like, I realized she was a professor in the Baton School. So I was like, okay. I started getting my feet into that, and I started talking with her. Fourth year, I decided to apply for the because there are various iterations of how you can get a policy degree. You can get the undergrad degree, of course, get into your third year, graduate fourth year. You can do the accelerated version where you would apply for like your third year and begin like the master's program as a fourth year. That was already out the window for me. Then you could do like the regular 2-year program, like, oh, you finished undergrad and you come in, you start this 2-year program. So that's what I did. And I ended up, I was there in the Baton School every day, meeting with the admin saying, hey, how's my application going? To further like show that to show like the board or the admissions people that I was serious. Like I started taking undergraduate policy classes in my fourth year. So, and funny enough, one of my professors, he was actually teaching a comparative politics course that I needed for my major in general anyway. So he ended up writing my recommendation and where I did comparative budgeting, and I really appreciated that from him. And then in my last semester as a fourth year, I ended up taking like a social entrepreneurship course, which was, also run by one of the Baton professors, Christine Mahoney. And, I got in contact with them. So I just started, having these connections with a lot of the professors. I ended up getting in, and, that definitely changed my life. I really enjoyed the program. First semester was terrible, though, man, because I was like, it hit me hard like that, because that's what I realized. What you did in undergrad, you can't do in grad school, basically. So I had to get myself in order and all that type of stuff. But I loved the program. It definitely focused what I wanted to do professionally in my career, and I ended up doing something I didn't expect because I thought I would be doing like foreign policy and all that type of stuff. But when I started actually doing the program, I started doing a lot of local, like county level type of projects, first in like the Charlottesville area. Then I remember I got a client from St. Louis, Missouri, where they wanted to focus on abandoned building demolition, and that involved like saying, oh, let the community kind of invest in that. I remember like, because it's a 2-year program, that summer in between, you need to get an internship. So I interned in Columbia, South Carolina. I enjoyed it, and just being there was pretty nice as well. Got an intern for the mayor's office, and I got exposed to more local stuff that, while I was still interested in foreign policy and all that stuff, domestic stuff, within, really started to intrigue me a lot more. Yeah. And then I ended up taking the office of the mayor. They were my client for like my thesis project, and I ended up going back to South Carolina.
So when you say a client, you're a client,
Yeah. So
what does that even? Or what is your title at that point in time? You're a policy contractor. What is this?
Well, as they put it, we were student consultants, basically. So,
Were they paying you?
Yeah, that way they didn't have to pay you.
well, they did give me money to live well in South Carolina. So that money covered my rent and
It's like
food.
student athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Sound like an internship.
Yeah.
so I was happy about that. But what I did was that because we have this like capstone thesis project, and my own was that the office, but basically the public works office through the mayor, he told me they can be your client, and I said thank you. So they wanted to find ways to like fund their transportation projects, and I got to research on what they were using it to fund and other methods of what they can use as well, and then I came up with a whole report like that, defended that project in front of my professor, and that was that. And I graduated in 2017, and I still stuck around in Charlottesville for, May. I stuck around for Charlottesville about 4 months after graduation, and then I went back to the DMV area.
Okay, cool.
You think you're going to take any of this back to Nigeria at some point? Or you kind of staying in the States for a while?
That's a question that I've wrestled with quite a while. I know that, currently I work in Southern Maryland. I work in Charles County. But what I had wanted to do, once again, because D.C. is always on my mind, I said, when I graduate, the moment I was like, I got to start applying for jobs in D.C. because I wanted to work in D.C. I wanted to find ways I can give back to D.C. Anyway, I tried applying to like the Department of Transportation because I was on a very interested trajectory for transportation policy. Didn't work out. I wasn't getting a lot of work in DC, but what helped me was that when I was moving about, and my dad connected me with another friend who connected me with somebody else who I was tailing him basically, and I was going to a lot of policy, Washington DC economic development stuff across the city. Like he would say, "Hey, we're having something in Anacostia. I want you to come down." So I'd be there. I started learning about business improvement districts and those who headed the bids. Like I really got in contact with the woman who runs the Anacostia Business Improvement District. She started out fairly new at the time, and it was just her and one other person. They didn't really have the funds to hire people, and I was hoping to get that, but I was still in her ear. And she'd even invite me to like stuff about, what's happening in Anacostia, where they would have, business leaders. They'd have DC, the Metropolitan Police Department trying to figure out the challenges of security and, policing and all that type of stuff. So I appreciated just being, kind of a attendee in a lot of things that are affecting Southeast DC as well. And as it comes to Nigeria, me personally, I'm going to be here for a while. I'm not yet. I don't want to say invested because that's cold on my part. I'm not in a place where I feel that I can give a lot in that regard. Though, as with this current job I have now, I'm starting to see, okay, what can I do as well? And there are a lot of groups that are like me that say come from Nigeria but are now living here, or who were born here, have been there, or who were just born here, never knew that want to like reconnect back to Nigeria. So that's my little thing where I up my connection with that. And I was back in Nigeria in December of 2022 last year, Christmas. I was there for a month, so it was a good time, and things happened as well.
So you keep talking about. Let's run it back a little bit. So what are you doing currently? Like, what is your current job title, and what are you doing?
So it's funny because I just realized it changed. My title just changed like 2 days ago. I didn't realize this, but I was.
It's a good thing or downgrade or upgrade?
No, it's a title that kind of reflects what I do. So I initially came in. I came in 2021. I was as a business development coordinator with the Charles County Economic Development Department, and I guess you could say I was a COVID hire as well. This is kind of when 2020 had passed, and 2021 was coming. So that was where people could see like a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. But the idea of what I was initially being tasked to do was that I was helping my supervisor at the time kind of ensure that businesses across the county were getting funds
Funded.
from the county,
Okay.
getting money so they could all be on their feet.
Oh, you helped out a lot of people then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, people really appreciated appreciated the help, and Charles County is a predominantly black county as well.
That's an interesting question though.
Yeah.
Like, for all the businesses that were funded in COVID, is the government going to get their money back?
I mean, there are a lot of businesses that were businesses that people started up and got funding.
Yeah,
and there's
no.
a lot of legitimate businesses that
No.
couldn't get the
Oh,
money.
I've seen some people that got some money and is out of business already.
Yeah.
Like they started a restaurant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it was out of business.
but yeah, it's interesting that you say that because a lot of the businesses that were there, they've been there for a long time. These are a lot of black businesses that want to succeed as well. They really appreciated the funding to a point where, they're not asking for money. They're on their feet. They're happy about it. They're now, but now it's like normal business challenges. But that era of period where businesses were shutting down and, even to go back to Charlottesville, man, a lot of businesses there are gone. Like,
Yeah. Downtown Mall, a lot of them.
Downtown Mall, the corner, Little John's is gone.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm like, that broke my heart. But at the same time, like you had a lot of all of these businesses, now on their feet. After that after that period was done, they decided to shift me from that. So I went from business retention and expansion into development.
Okay.
And my supervisor, who was in, I guess, BRE, Business Retention and Expansion, said, "Oh, I think you'll like this. I think this is more up your alley," which in the case is true because I did a lot of policy work, and she recognized that that's what I would be good at. And to be quite honest, I did gravitate to that. And with development, I started looking at a lot of stuff like zoning and stuff like hotels and what they do. I did a lot of, I just finished up a hotel analysis, kind of like how the hotel industry within the county has been doing, particularly in Waldorf, which is where a majority of like hotels will be because it's proximity to DC. And they're doing good. They're recovering bit by bit, so that's good to see as well. Another thing that I got into was like stuff like retail work, seeing how retail businesses are doing as well. Still a struggle, but I think they're also doing well. Then I started getting into agriculture because Charles County is also a rural county as well, and so there are a lot of farms. It's in Southern Maryland, and that's what I ended up gravitating towards that. That's a policy area that I really like as well, and just being in the local government field, I like seeing what I do, or have like a direct impact because everybody's there, everybody wants to live well, and that's like the closest connection the people have to government, their county government, their county commissioners. In one of the towns, they have a mayor, connection to their mayor, and just seeing that sense of community and all that type of stuff. So
Are you raising the money, private funding, or is this just government money that you're dispersing to these businesses? Or kind of like, are they applying for it? What's the kind of process for these businesses to get this?
What's interesting is that when I came in 2021, they had these grant programs along. These were not like from the federal government. This was like county grants that they were giving to businesses, from which, in conjunction with all of the stimulus money that businesses were getting from the federal government back then. And this was money to help them get them on their feet, do everything else, and apply. And yes, you had to apply. You had to say, oh, this will be used for, say, if you were like a tech company, I'm going to use this to buy computers. I'm going to use this to buy my tech equipment. If you're a restaurant, I'm using this for, say, also tech because I want to get into, say, online delivery now. I need to pay employees. I need to also basically, in addition, I need to like ensure that I have maybe spacing and all of that type of stuff like that. And as time went on, and these were grants, so they didn't have to. These weren't loans; these were grants. So businesses didn't really have to pay them back, and that helped as well. And it helped the county because now, as more people saw businesses still going around, more people began to pay in. Funds were coming back. Profits were coming back as well. People were getting some work granted. Labor shortages happen as well, but I think today compared to then when I came in, it's a lot better, and you can definitely see people wanting to come out and about. So that's another good thing about it. And in addition to that, in addition to that, there's another program where after that, everybody wanted to become an entrepreneur in 2021.
Right.
Everybody wants to make their business. So what Charles County did through one of my previous supervisors, that they had a program where they initially got a cohort of business owners to get trained in the art of entrepreneurship. It became so popular that business owners started telling other people who are interested in how to run a business, and then they started coming in, and it's really attracted a lot of entrepreneurs of all races, but specifically in Charles County being a black county, that's a lot of young business acumen and talent ready to be unleashed in the county as well. And Charles County overtook PG County as the richest black county in the country.
Really?
Yeah, and with Charles County having the history because quick history fact, Charles County had they're the oldest Catholic county. You got, of course, white settlers that came in 1600s, oldest Catholic churches there. Got to see it. It was very nice. You have a Native American population that's there, that's been there. Then, of course, you have the black community that's been there since end of the war. Like, you have a lot of people who in the black community they're saying that, hey, after the war, my ancestors, they bought land here, and we've lived here since the end of the war and all that type of stuff. I got to see a lot of history where I met like a woman whose father, was initially, selling like fruit on the road, and then he ended up getting a gas station, back in the day, selling kerosene, became a restaurant, became a business, and, she and her other brothers and sisters are kind of running it as well, and they're trying to find, I guess the challenge there is to hopefully find ways to continue to pass it down. And I guess that's something about the rural spirit that I can appreciate of all people, like, that type of keeping tradition alive and passing land down to people. That's important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So, what is your current title? Did you talk about your current title?
Oh yeah, no. So I came in as a business development coordinator. Now I'm a business development specialist.
Okay.
And another thing that they also had me do, because I went through 3 directors. One director left because personal family matters. He had to leave. We had an interim one, and then we had a new one who I'm currently working with. And she was like, I want you to start tracking legislation from the Maryland State House. Can you do that? And I'm like, this is where I guess being a politics major comes in, because I love this stuff and I know about legislation and all that type of stuff. So I've been tracking legislation in Maryland for 2 sessions now, and it's been good. And that's another title that's another thing I didn't expect to do. Like, I do almost a little bit of everything now, and they now call me a business development specialist. So appreciate that.
That's awesome.
So where do you want to end up at? Is like mayor your goal, or you want to stay in the
President
politics?
Chudi.
Yeah, President. Yeah. What's
Chudi.
What's your ideal dream of? Hey, this is where I want to end up at. This is where I want to be.
Oh, dang, that's. Well, for starters, because I hope I don't change my mind on this. I have recently got into agriculture policy because there's so much to do, and the thing is that with the pandemic, food became such an issue. Like, when we realized that, we can't just import our food from all over the world.
Right.
People need to start growing their own, and this is even something that I know you asked me about how I can tie it into Nigeria. That's something else that I'm telling people in Nigeria and that's something that we used to do as well. We used to grow our own food and importation. But agriculture policy is something I still want to go to throughout. I would hope to still remain. I would like to do some work in Virginia and some of the rural counties as well. It definitely allowed me to. Essentially come in and try to build that type of repertoire within rural areas, because sometimes the good thing about now having a job with a steady income is that I have disposable income now, and I can go about and I can drive and do what I want, and that's what I did. I drove around in Virginia, and even then I started whenever I drive down to Charlottesville, whenever I go to visit, I like to just take in
Just take
everything.
it in. It's a good drive.
Yeah, it's a good drive. I like
Before you get to Charlottesville. No, I'm just.
Yeah, no, it's good, but it's good and all that type of stuff. And I like I've done farm visits for this job, and I really like going on farms. And the farmers themselves have also gained that type of entrepreneurial spirit because they had to also get their product out as well, and you can see the value of that. So I want to continue agriculture policies for the moment on the local level still, and kind of build up on that. As to politics, I don't know whether I want to run because that's a beast and that takes like a whole. I would have to steel myself very. I would have to get the thickest of skins, and I can do that, but I would have to take it to a whole nother level. But what I've done is that with the time I've had, I've started going to I'm an independent. I talk with everybody. I've talked with Democrats and Republicans, especially on the local level. And another thing out of the pandemic, and especially working on local government, is that I've been into local politics a lot. So I've been going to a lot of debates. Yeah. I've been going to a lot of forums to educate myself politically and do all of that. And that's what I like to do, because a lot of people, and this is something I learned from UVA, that everybody's saying, oh, in politics, you can just go in, talk, and you're politically minded. That's only one part of a larger scheme of things. Like, politics is very nuanced. Mm-hmm. Politics is a contact sport in a way. Yeah. Politics is not as ideal as people want it to be. Yeah. You've got to accept certain realities, and that's what I've learned pretty much. But the only way that I really learned to accept that is that I had to talk with a lot of people. And to be fair, I learned that at UVA, where I said I wanted to talk to, say, the college Republicans. I talked to the UDEMs. I talked with activists in Charlottesville as well. I talked to a professor who was a libertarian because I just wanted to know different political, ideologies. And
were you down in Charlottesville during the that little rally that had some? Yeah,
I was that summer in Charlottesville. I was still there, because I was doing an independent study with one of my Baton professors, Eileen Chow. But I was there, and I was there when the first thing happened, when they had the KKK were here.
Yeah, the KKK.
Yeah, the KKK, and that was kind of what I expected. It was like a small group of it. It was almost pathetic in a way.
Yeah.
But when you had that whole Unite the Right rally thing in August, I was like, oh. So I did something. I decided to say, okay, I'm out about. Let me go to Mel's and give Mel's money. Black business, that's how I was going to do. Yeah. But I ended up going
Shout out to Mel's. I love Mel's.
Yeah, Mel's is great, man. But I ended up going to downtown Charlottesville because I wanted to see what was going on. And there was just a lot of people there, And, my mother called me and she said, hey, I said, I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching. And she was like, just want you to be careful. Yeah. So I was down there, I looked around. It was just a lot of people there, everybody with their regalia doing everything, kind of protesters, all that type of stuff. So when I was there, I was like, okay. I felt that I'd spent enough time there, and I went back home. But when I left, that's when the whole thing with the car crash thing happened. Yeah. I wasn't there for that. That happened. Where somebody, unfortunately, she died, and that was unfortunate. Somebody got injured, and the guys who committed that, they're now in prison. Good for them. Justice has been served in that. But I was out before any of that type of action went, and that's another thing with the political thing that came in. One regret that I had leaving Charlottesville was that I never went to any city council meeting. Mm-hmm. I never did anything like that. I was not really connected, and it was only after I left that I was really into that thing. And I know that the last week I was in Charlottesville, the day before the home opening of the football game, which was William and Mary. And the funny thing about that was that I had come to UVA. I played William and Mary my first football game at UVA. Then my last time in Charlottesville as any type of student. Yeah. UVA played William and Mary, so I just felt that was a
good send-off.
Yeah, good send-off. But, a lot of students...
that was when we beat them, by the way. Anyone was wondering.
Yeah.
That issue.
And it was interesting to see a couple of things that, first of all, because I remember the first years that were now fourth years, because when they came, when I was a fourth year, they were first years, and now they were fourth years, talking about, okay, what can we do? And, I left telling them that, hey, if you want to make some decent change, you've got to connect with the Charlottesville community. Yeah. You've got to really go ahead.
You got to go ahead. Get involved.
Get involved. And it's not even just getting involved, per se, just, having conversation with them, really having a community with them, and doing... And, having all that stuff. And what's interesting is that when I left, somebody who's a Republican really grabbed me up and said, hey, I really like what you said, and I've kept in touch with him since. But that's what I like to see. And, that's when my time as any type of student was really over, and I went back to Nova,
So if you could create one policy change, and this isn't something we prepared for. He didn't prepare for this. It's on the spot, man.
On the spot now.
It's on the spot. So if you could choose one policy change, what policy change would you like to see? In DC, in the country, whatever.
Make it local.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I like these questions on the fly. I mean, and I'll give it three-pronged attacks. Like, so in DC, specifically DC, if I were to focus on DC, I guess one policy change that I really would like to see is kind of increasing the culture of maintenance in DC. You know, really keep it together. And that's
what do you mean by that?
So, you know, and this is my transportation side talking, especially in DC, like ensuring like the roads are always good everywhere, you know.
Yeah, need that.
Everywhere in DC. And, you know, that's not to say that they don't do the culture of maintenance, but it could be better. Mm-hmm. And I think really ensuring that, especially like in Southeast or Northeast and all that type of stuff, because fun fact, I did work in DC for one of my dad's friends and he purposely cited his business on Benning Road off H Street, kind of like, and the funny thing is that I know that neighborhood as a kid because, you know, I went, there's a laundromat that was there that I used to go to, that my parents kind of went to from time to time when they didn't have time to like actually wash clothes or like our washing machine was like broken. We went there, so I recognized the whole place as well. And I see the place and I look around and, you know, the roads could be better. And of course you have the streetcar running there, but then I really look and I see like, oh, wow, you know, businesses are there. There's a lot of, you know, unfortunately, a lot of, like, killings do happen there. You know, things could be better. You know, just having, like, making an area look good, giving the people who live there, because even despite the pushing and the gentrification on H Street, that area is still predominantly black. Yeah. And I know having good roads there, ensuring, like, somebody's car doesn't hit, like, a pothole, and then something's out of alignment, and then check engine lights on, bam, that's funding that I have to do as a person. That's money out of my pocket that really shouldn't have been out. Something like that can help, and just having good roads and people moving about is always good, not for their well-being, but also for business in general because people can get around and move around. Mm-hmm. For the country in general, this is where it comes, where my agriculture stuff comes, and I would like for a way to like promote actual production of food, like support farmers, give them the need, give them what they need to do, like, and this is like not only just farming, and they say, of course, it's like a predominantly white thing, but they're black farmers out here doing their thing and make sure they get their funding, make sure like all farmers, wherever, kind of go in and they're producing, and that this country can become even more self-sufficient in food production. And at the same time, when that happens, you make agriculture kind of a attractive profession for younger people because, they said the average farmer is like in his 50s. Yeah. And I remember a farmer used to tell me back in the day, like when he was a kid, that if you were born in America, your grandparents lived on a farm, your parents worked on a farm. Not the case really anymore because, things are changing. But that's what and I would even apply that to Nigeria as well because, my dad would always tell me that Nigeria was self-sufficient in food. We're making our food, and then, oil money came in, and then Nigeria started importing things that they really shouldn't have been importing that we know that we can make, but we don't. And that has ended up being a very detrimental thing to Nigeria as well. But those are my policy areas that I would hope.
Those are good answers. Those are good answers right there. Yeah. So what advice would you have for up and coming, UVA graduates or current alumni who are wanting to go down this path of public policy in your space?
Yeah. So it's funny, I had an interview with the career services where I gave something like that, but it was terms of local government, but this is the same thing I can give. What I liked about the Baton School was that I never specialized in one specific policy field. It was just public policy. And one advice that I would give people who want to enter public policy is that, if you really want to do something, by all means do it, but don't shut down other opportunities, because like I said, I thought I was going to do foreign policy. Yeah. But I'm now doing a lot of local things as well. Not that I'm still not interested in all that type of stuff because, I watch stuff on from ambassadors and what's happening in the world. But my professional career has been very local, and I'm happy about that. Mm-hmm. And I can grow from that. It's a good foundation as well. So that's one thing I would tell, up and coming UVA grads and, those who want to enter policy, that, keep an open mind. Have your interests, but know that versatility is very good because that's what I'm doing in my job, like track legislation, write hotel reports, go to farms, and I'm like, and I love that stuff, and I'm not like taken aback by it. I know I can do it because I've received like a good education in that regard. In terms of entering government, I tell UVA grads this, and I learned this the hard way. Like, I just wanted to work in the federal government. Like, I wanted to work in Department of Energy or Department of Transportation or Department of Agriculture and all this type of stuff. And, you know, getting into those jobs are hard, and you need experience for that. And I learned that it's like, 2 degrees is not enough. Like, you actually have to work. And, you know, that's a thing. And I respect that. So local government was the last thing on my mind because for lack of a better term, I thought I was better than that. But I realized that, like, when I wasn't getting the jobs I wanted, and one job that I did want, somebody else ended up getting it, but I reached out to her. And I just said, how can I market myself? How can I get a job? And she was like, well, Charles County, the place that I left, they're looking for somebody. Okay. And I still wanted to work in D.C., but I was at a point in time where I was like, I can't be picky. Yeah. First of all, I need a job. Yeah. And second of all, I'm like, it's an opportunity. So why thumb your nose at it? Why just close that door? So I said, okay, let me go and apply for this job. I ended up getting it. I've been at it for 2 years, and I've realized I enjoy it. It's a good foundation. And obviously I can move on, but I'm in a place where I have flexibility to now plan myself professionally. So I would tell people like, hey, if a local government job opens up, take it. And it might not be the specific area that you wanted, but if you do good in that area, that can only make you a specialist in that field where somebody's saying, oh, he's worked in this and he's worked in that, and he has an interest in this. Okay, we can make use of that and see what we can do as well. And that's the thing, you can't always appreciate versatility. You can't be picky, especially in this time and age. You never know where life takes you and all that type of stuff. And, you know, this is something that my dad told me about what he wanted to do professionally, because he's an architect. Yeah. And he would always tell me, like, I took a course in surveying, and he was like, I don't know why I would be doing surveying, looking at outside buildings, when all I want to do is design buildings. But where he works now requires him to really survey. And it's saying, so you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to deal with what you have.
Sharpen all your tools, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sharpen all your tools. Yeah. And I think there's a good, learning lesson out of that is you got to get started. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if it's where you want to be at, sometimes you can start. Like, I started a cleaning company. I ain't want to be cleaning. You know what I'm saying? But it got me to, like, getting into tech and then getting into other spaces. And, you know, sometimes where you want to end up is not necessarily how it looks when you start. Yeah. So, Chudi, man, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you jumping on the podcast. Let everybody know where they can reach you at before we jump into this. I got a rapid fire questions for you to finalize it, but let them know where they can reach you at.
Yeah, so you can reach me I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn. Instagram, I'm on all these social media types as well. I'm always easy to reach out, and I'm usually also in the mood of also finding people to reconnect with as well. So it's all been good. So I'm a very approachable person, and I'm willing to just connect. I love this community. I love what you do. Appreciate especially.
You want to give us a handle? Can we get a handle?
Yeah, a handle? Yeah. Tell them where to reach you. Okay, on Instagram you can reach me at the Nigerian Brother.
Okay. Hey. Yeah, okay. Like that. Okay.
Yeah, I've been going. If you don't know, I've been going by the.
Is that blue check certified?
Oh no, man, no. But that's what I went through. I came up with the Nigerian Brother in 2009 because I'm like, why not brace that? I've called myself that at UVA. I am the Nigerian Brother. So,
there you go. We like it. Yeah. All right, so here you go, man. It's rapid fire questions right here. We got to end it right here. So I just want whichever one you choose, just this or that. All right?
Yeah.
Hotels or Airbnbs?
Oh, hotels, man.
Listen to books or read books?
Read books.
Go to the movies or Netflix?
Movies, man.
Cable or stream?
Cable. Whoa.
Cable.
For now. Right. It's different, right?
IG stories or IG posts?
IG stories.
Watch the news or read the news?
Probably read the news, yeah.
Would you rather start a podcast or would you rather write a book?
Podcast.
Apple or Android?
Android.
Detroit pizza or New York pizza?
Oh, man. Probably Detroit pizza.
Okay. If you were moving, would you get friends to help you move or would you hire a moving company?
Probably get friends to move, man.
Okay, we out. Man, that's the Hooshwere podcast. Chudi, man, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thanks, man.